This episode of Mr. Hutchings History is now streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all your favorite platforms like Castbox, Podcast Addict, and Amazon Music. Tune in now.
Welcome to Mr. Hutchings History, where the past comes alive. Let's dive into today's story.
Well, welcome back. This is the fifth and last installment on my discussion of waves of change, immigration, and migration in the United States. And this episode, I'm going to land up with the discussion of the immigrants and the shaping of modern America. And I really appreciate that you've stayed with me for these 5 episodes. So hello again, and welcome back to Mr. Hutchings History. Today, I am concluding the exploration of immigrants and their impact on the United States with an in-depth look on how immigrants have shaped modern America. Over centuries, immigrants have contributed to the nation's economic strength, cultural diversity, and social evolution. Yet this process has been fraught with challenges, including discrimination, adaptation, and debates over identity. By analyzing the complex and interacting factors that shape immigrant experiences, we can better understand their vital role in American history and how immigrant legacies continue to influence us today. So let's dive into how immigrants contributed to America's growth, endured and overcame challenges, and left an indelible mark on our identity as Americans. So, America as a nation of immigrants. From the founding of the nation through the industrial boom of the late 19th century, immigration has been a cornerstone of American development. Between 1820 and 1924, over 40 million immigrants arrived, bringing new skills, ideas, and new cultural traditions. This influx transformed cities, industries, and communities across the United States. Despite the essential contributions, immigrants often faced hostility, xenophobia, and systematic exclusion. These tensions reveal the duality of America's identity as both a land of opportunity and a society wary of change. So I'd like to begin with the economic contribution of immigrants. These immigrants have been the backbone of American economic growth, particularly during the Industrial Revolution and the rise of urban centers. Immigrants contributed labor. In factories and industry, immigrants dominated the workforce in America's growing industries. Irish and German workers during the mid 19th century were groups that became indispensable in textile mills, steel plants, and urban manufacturing hubs. Irish immigrants, escaping the potato famine, often took on the most grueling jobs in infrastructure and factory work. Southern and Eastern Europeans, such as Italians and the Polish, often arrived in the late 19th century, taking on labor intensive roles in mining, steel production, and construction. There was railroad construction. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad stands as a testament to immigrant labor. The Irish workers built the eastern sections of this railroad, enduring dangerous conditions. The Chinese workers were integral to the western sections, facing extreme prejudice and harsh treatment. In agriculture, immigrants turned vast stretches of land into agricultural hubs. German immigrants introduced innovating farming techniques such as crop rotation and the use of fertilizers in the Midwest. Scandinavian settlers adapted to the harsh plains environment, pioneering dry farming methods. There were entrepreneurial achievements. Immigrants weren't just laborers, they were entrepreneurs and inventors. Levi Strauss, a German Jewish immigrant who revolutionized workwear with denim, created an enduring American brand. Nikola Tesla, a Serbian immigrant whose innovations in electricity and engineering changed the modern world. Jewish garment workers helped build New York's thriving garment industry, developing ready to wear clothing and transforming fashion. Immigrants not only fueled industrial growth, but also brought ingenuity and ambition that reshaped the American economy. There was cultural enrichment. Immigrants profoundly influenced American culture, introducing new traditions, new cuisines, and new social practices. There were traditions and customs. Germans contributed the kindergarten system and popularized, revolutionizing early childhood education. The Germans also introduced Christmas trees and advent calendars. Irish contributions include Irish folk music, which evolved into modern genres like bluegrass and country. Celebrations like St. Patrick's Day are now national traditions. The Italian immigrants brought them pasta and pizzas, which are now staples of American cuisine. Chinese immigrants adopted traditional dishes like stir fry and noodles to suit American palates, giving rise to dishes such as chop suey. There was formation of ethnic enclaves. Immigrant neighborhoods allowed communities to preserve their heritage while influencing broader society. Little Italy in New York City and Chinatown in San Francisco became vibrant cultural hubs. Germantown and Andersonville in Chicago served as strongholds for German and Scandinavian traditions. These neighborhoods celebrated their heritage through festivals, architecture, and businesses. These enclaves not only provided a sense of belonging, but also enriched the diversity of American cities. The immigrants had challenges and adaptations. The immigrant experience wasn't without a struggle. There was discrimination and xenophobia. Immigrants faced hostility rooted in fears of cultural change and economic competition. The Chinese Exclusionary Act of 1882 was the first federal law to ban immigration based on ethnicity. Political cartoons, immigrants, especially Irish and Chinese, were characterized as threats to American values. There was the struggle for civil rights. Labor movements, including immigrants organized unions and strikes to demand fair wages and better working conditions. This was seen in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in 1911. This tragedy, which killed mostly immigrant workers, spurred labor reforms which affected everyone in the United States. There was civil rights advocacy. Immigrant groups fought for political representation and legal protections, helping lay the groundwork for future civil rights movements. And acculturation and gener- generational changes. I had a little problem with that. While parents often clung to traditional ways, their children adapted quickly, blending old customs with American norms. This process created a dynamic exchange that transferred both immigrant communities and American societies into a new America. So there are some perspectives that we can compare. That immigration is part of a larger story of movement and adaptation in the United States. So let's compare the old and new immigrants. The old immigrants from 1840 to 1860 were mostly from Northern and Western Europe, such as the Irish and Germans. And these old immigrants integrated more easily due to cultural and linguistic similarities. The new immigrants from 1865 to 1915 were from Southern and Eastern Europe and Asia, such as Italian, Poles, and Chinese. These new immigrants faced greater barriers due to larger cultural differences and prejudice. There's voluntary and forced migration. Immigrants generally came voluntarily, seeking opportunities or fleeing hardships. In contrast, Native American displacement, through policies such as the Indian Removal Act of 1830, was forced and devastating, with profound cultural and generational losses. The legacy of immigration. Immigrants transformed America from its infrastructure and industries to its culture and communities. These immigrants overcame tremendous challenges, leaving a legacy of resilience and innovation. Yet their experiences also reveal the contradictions of a nation that celebrates its identity as a land of opportunity while grappling with exclusionary tendencies. So let me leave you finally with some discussion questions at the end of this five-part series. And I thank you for staying with me for this entire time. First, how did economic, cultural, and social factors shape the experiences of different immigrant groups? Secondly, in what ways did immigrants adapt to American society while preserving their cultural identities? And lastly, how do historical patterns of immigration inform contemporary debates about inclusion and national identity? Thank you for joining me on this journey through history in Mr. Hutchings' history. Stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, history is the key to understanding our present and shaping our future.
Thanks for listening to Mr. Hutchings' History. Keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.